Hi, welcome to 15. I'm Luke. I've got Dan with me here. Hey, Dan.
Hi, Luke. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Second week of this. Back at the grind.
Exciting. It was good fun last time.
Yeah, it was. Let's let the listeners know a little bit more about the podcast if you're first-time listeners. So, the way this podcast is going to work, we take 3 films that are currently operating on popular streaming sites, and we review just the first...
No, Netflix.
Like Netflix. I don't want to tie ourselves just to Netflix, Dan.
Oh, okay.
Well, what about Amazon? Might come to us and say, guys, we want to sponsor you. Or what's another one?
Disney Plus.
It's meant to be decent, man. But everyone that says
Got
so
it.
is just like superhero films.
Well, I've not watched any superhero films in it.
Oh yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
What have you watched?
Old Disney, really. I
Oh,
noticed that The Sword in the Stone, the ending, very abrupt, really.
Put that sword back where you found it. So, on this podcast, we take 3 films off Netflix. Okay, let's just say Netflix. You're coughing all over my lines. Oh, God. Stop coughing.
I'm sick.
So, the way this podcast works is we take 3 films off Netflix and we review them each week. Just the first 15 minutes, though, so technically no spoilers. If something happens in the first 15 minutes now, it can't possibly be a spoiler, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
When does Bambi's mum die in Bambi?
First 15 minutes. It's not really a spoiler.
Not a spoiler, see? Okay, so last week, you picked That's My Boy. A quick review.
Yes.
What was it like?
I mean, it kept up its vulgarity. It became bizarre and weird, but it was like crack, I guess, or heroin, just bad stuff sometimes is quite fun to do, I stand by all of my comments. Yeah, Adam Sandler's voice is just really voice is just horrific.
Are you going to add that to your wheel of impressions?
No. Also, speaking of wheel of impressions, I watched last night when Stephen Fry was 28 an interview that Kenneth Williams did with him. Kenneth Williams used to have a host, a interviewing show.
Talk show.
Kenneth Williams is a dreadful host. He's so egomaniac, such an egomaniac that he's like, there's literally a bit where Stephen Fry's talking and he sat there like this, mouth agog, like panning for laughs.
Mouth agog?
Mouth agog.
Careful now.
He's hogging for a gog. He's absolutely gopping.
Don't you do Kenneth Williams? You can't just say no.
Sorry.
God, eventually we'll get to these films. Tell us a bit more about That's My Boy.
It was fun. It continued very much in the same vein. All of our predictions basically came true, apart from the girlfriend was shagging her brother.
I said she was a gold digger. I made that prediction.
Yeah, not gold digger, not shagging her brother. There's a difference.
To be fair, if I had made that assumption that she was shagging her brother and it hadn't come off, I would have looked mental.
Not really, because we did open that film with statutory rape, so...
It's a good point. Last week, I watched Deadcon. So basically the whole film kind of ends up sidelining all of the actual interesting characters, which was the inventor and Bobby, and of course Stanley, who we mentioned last week, played by Dominic Burgess, and just focus on these sort of empty, boring teenagers that were kind of two-dimensional. And the whole point of horror is you kind of don't want people to die. That's where you're meant to get scared. I didn't feel any empathy for the people that were at risk, so I couldn't care less. But it wasn't scary enough, it wasn't gory enough, and it was just a bit boring, which for like a cheap 75-minute horror flick is actually quite an achievement. But like the bizarre cattle prod jump scares were so random.
Yeah.
They're like, it screamed to me the sort of Homer Simpson when he runs into Bart's room with a knife to make him brownies, that sort of joke.
Do you want some brownie before you go to bed?
Come on, let me cut you a brownie while they're still hot.
Dad, I'm kind of edgy right now. I'd appreciate you not coming in my room screaming and brandishing a butcher knife.
I'm sorry, boy.
Come on, do you want to see my new chainsaw and hockey mask?
The jump scares were members of staff trying to help people. So it's like someone jumps into the corner and goes, "Can I make your bed?" It's so weird.
What about
So-
Barker Abdi?
Oh my god! So Barker Abdi, Barker Abdi was the last remaining character.
What?
He was the one we were meant to care for the most. He met his demise, even though at one
Oh,
point
really?
he filmed him and his girlfriend having sex.
I am the captain. I am the captain. I am the captain.
And then I think the only real reason they used the YouTube stars was just so that they could make sort of like a Blair Witch-esque first-person sequences all the time with people walking through dark rooms
Oh,
with the
God.
lights on. Oh, honestly, it was poor. But
Did Stanley die?
well, this is the thing. This is what I was going to get to, Dan. Dominic Burgess has 3 other scenes in the film. I've recorded all of them to
Okay.
hear them. Would you like to hear them?
Yes, please.
Here's the first one. Listen carefully because they are quiet.
No person. Get the fuck.
So in that one, he's basically telling Warren to put the phone down, so showing his dominance once again. Now in the second scene,
Nothing but dominant.
Warren, nobody believes in your ghost story. Drop it.
Poor Warren. What did he do wrong? Bloody hell.
you'll be glad to hear Dominic Burgess is in the final scene of the film.
Yeah.
So here it is. Listen to this.
Have a nice day.
So is Stanley the bad guy? Is he the arch villain orchestrating all this?
I'm so glad you picked up on that because Stanley, at every point of the film, bear in mind he's only in 4 scenes, seems to actually accommodate the evil presence of Bobby. So unless I'm reading far too much into this, it's a possibility that he's the genuine full baddie of this film because he placed AKA Ashley in the evil room. He told Warren to stop taking personal calls when he was trying to help. He then lambasted Warren for making up ghost stories, and then he placed a new internet star in the possessed room only a day after a mass murder and smiled about it. So unless Stanley's not read the script and he's just smiling his way through all these evil lines, or he's actually the baddie. If no one has listened to the first week of this, and we're talking about Barker Abdi, who's not Barker Abdi, and a guy called Dominic Burgess that no one's heard of, who is getting these references? Right, I think people can owe me the courtesy of going to watch DeadCon now, so you knew what the hell I was talking about. Right, should we get on to this week's films?
No, we should talk more about last week. So, our first film is films we felt we really should have seen, and that is Inferno. Premise for this is, on the run and suffering from memory loss, a Harvard symbologist must decipher clues to stop a plague designed to decimate the planet's population. So this is the third one, I think, in the film adaptation with Tom Hanks of Dan Brown's series, you know, The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and Inferno.
Yeah, I think the book's called Dante's Inferno.
No, that's a different book.
Oh, that's Dante's Divine Comedy. That's by Dante. Sorry, I watched the wrong film.
Our notes aren't going to match up.
So we basically start with Tom Hanks waking up from amnesia. I mean, it's just so cheesy how it starts. He's basically trying to remember where he is, and it's shot so like it's shot to create tension, but you're not going to create any tension because Tom Hanks is
It really hurt my eyes, like because the way it was shot was so like blurry and like, oh, I'm disoriented. It just hurt my eyes. I was like, oh, I'm getting a bit stressed watching this. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. You know, I thought it was quite a lazy opening, if I'm honest. You know, oh, he's got amnesia. He's rolling around in bed. He's shaky camera. You're not doing any work to kind of sell me this. Is that fair?
yeah, he wakes up and we find out he's been a gun shot at him. The gunshot kind of missed him, but he fell over, and that's why he's in hospital. What's that the equivalent of?
Jumping over a puddle and slipping on a banana skin?
Yeah?
Do you have anything better?
You really need a shit. You just managed to make it to the toilet. Then as you get up, you fall over, and you then piss. It's harder than you think, the stuff, you know? Believe it or not, listeners, a lot of effort goes into this podcast.
It does that thing in films that really annoys me, and it's not just films, it's any kind of TV, which is when the villain comes in, they have an intricate knowledge of the building they're in. It happens all the times.
That's such a
The
good point.
doctor that the person who works there will take the patient to rescue them through back doors and sideways, and the villain is always dogging their heels. Have you ever been to a hospital? They're so confusing. If you put a relative in your hospital, try and find them without any kind of foreknowledge, you would be lost in the hospital. It drives me insane.
That's such a good point, though. Did the policewoman have a blueprint of the actual hospital in her hand as she was sprinting around?
It's why, in The Godfather, when Don Corleone is in hospital, that scene is so brilliant because they keep Michael and Matey Boy outside on the steps, like looking intimidating. It's sensible, it's thinking, it's real. This film just isn't real. It's sloppy, its dialogue's pretty shit, it's very stilted. It's just, he's relying on the previous work of the two other films to make us care about Tom Hanks's character and what's going on. Okay, maybe that's on us for watching the third part in a sequel, but if you watch Toy Story, all the hard work in that third sequel is done for you in the beginning. We care about these characters, the guy's going off to college, and it's one last hurrah. You don't have to have seen the other films to believe in that and care about those characters. At the moment, I don't give a hoot about these people.
No, I might be overreaching, but it strikes me as the type of film where, despite it shows you all this sort of flashy sort of symbolism of like blood coming down these ancient streets in Florence and this woman with no legs or whatever. I mean, I don't think she made a cameo in this film, but I feel like it's one of those where it comes to conclusions.
She was just below the shot of the camera, wasn't she?
I feel like it's one of those films where it comes to conclusions that actually answers weren't there already, and you kind of put it together at the end. I also have a big issue with Tom Hanks in this film. I mean, I know it's only the first 15 minutes. He's so stale in his delivery, and I know he's meant to be slightly drowsy.
But Tom Hanks's big sell, famously, he has a way of delivering lines that make them seem so natural. It's like Anthony Hopkins does the same thing. Supposedly reads a line 500 times, so it feels so natural that it doesn't seem like he's reading a script. It feels like he's just thought of that to say, like we do when we speak. And Tom Hanks is one of those actors who's known for that. And this film just doesn't have that at all.
No, it really doesn't. It's a weird film. And then as he's basically being dragged out through these streets to get to a taxi to escape this mad, sexy Italian policewoman chasing him down with firing off her gun, missing it on every single opportunity, by the way. I don't know where they do these gun training, but these hallucinations are mental. Are they mental? I mean, they're not as mental as seeing Hitler in a ping pong table in Amsterdam.
No, that's quite a mental thing. I don't know who would have thought of that. Don't know how listeners would work out you've seen that either, but there we go. Oh, I said too much.
But yeah, it was a bit all over the place, a bit bizarre, a bit up its own arse.
I can see why this series hasn't got acclaim. I mean, this has been going for 10 years, I think, at least. Where is this film trilogy? Where is it? Why is it not rammed down our face? Why is this one on the list of things I should have seen when I haven't seen it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not up there on the pantheon.
Definitely not. I give it 1 star.
I give it 2. I gave it 2.
Wow, you're generous.
Well, just because I am vaguely intrigued to see where it goes.
All right, what was your prediction then?
I think it's going to fanny around for about 90 minutes, and he's going to mention lots of stuff to do with scripture and old literature in Italy that Dan Brown doesn't know that much about, but kind of likes and fancies himself as a bit of a intellect along with those famous writers, which he isn't. And then at the end, in the final half an hour, they're going to pull it all together, run around some beautiful locations. More people miss them with gunshots. And then maybe he kisses Felicity Jones. Is Felicity Jones too young for him to kiss? I don't even know what the standards are anymore in film with old men and young women.
Well, not after last week.
What happened last week?
That's my boy.
All right, should we move on to the second one?
So it's Divergent. In a divided, war-torn world, Triss discovers her special abilities and bands with 4 to resist a sinister plot against those like them.
So this is from 2014, right? And this is on the back of Hunger Games sort of vibe, young adult sort of reach.
Feels like it, doesn't it?
The idea is society's recovering after a huge war that was a century previous. The society is being segmented, and people get categorized to do with one of 5 characteristics, where are they either smart, kind, brave, selfless, or honest. Dan, straight up, what are you?
Oh, I'm probably. I don't know. I'd probably put myself in the smart one and be really arrogant about it.
See, I would put myself in smart, but not for that reason. Just because I don't think I'd fit into the other categories.
I'm definitely not kind. I get really pissed off with people.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not honest. I'd lie and try and get ahead. Maybe I'm quite empathetic. Sorry, pathetic. I'm quite pathetic.
We're in a dystopian Chicago, and it starts really good. Like the opening titles, they take their time with it, but they do look very good.
Really good CGI. Yeah, really good. And I also thought the kind of initial narration was a really concise summary. I felt like I understood the socio-dynamic of the whole place. I was like, right, yeah, I'm here. I'm ready. I mean, a little bit predictable, sure, but it's aimed at 16-year-olds, not, people my age.
Yeah, so the film is centred around the heroine, Tris, and we meet her on the first day of testing. So it's quite an obvious place to start. And she's basically finding out, in a Harry Potter style, which house she's going to be aligned to. And she kind of feels a bit divided. And I think she's meant to replicate sort of young 16-year-olds who are raising their identity, where they're going to fit in the world, and they don't want to be pigeonholed. So it's a little bit maybe cheesy in that sense, but it is related to ideology and something deep within us. So it has got quite a pull on the audience there from the start. But
it doesn't feel cheesy.
No, I've used that word far too much today as well. My God. I think it's because we went and bought a bunch of cheese from the South Melbourne market the other day. And I've been kind of for...
That's definitely not the collective noun for cheese. Wheels.
Wheel? A conundrum of cheese?
You had this the other day. Can you remember it? What's the collective noun for a group with elephant?
Yeah, which is memory. Now, I didn't get that because you told me it wasn't a jokey answer. How is elephants and memory not jokey? The joke is they never forget.
Joke, is it?
Well, it's not true, though.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, I know what animal has the best memory.
What?
Sea lion. It's true. It's actually true.
Love a sea lion.
How do you think they balance a ball on a nose? They remember where the glue is.
Magnet.
Magnet.
What's that from? That's
no idea.
Quote,
I've had to say I said that as though it was a reference. I have no idea what I was doing.
Probably ourselves.
I am covered in like a bucket of sweat. Like I'm glistening over here. Like
I can see.
Claudia's just washed the bedding as well. I am just oozing into this bedding. I think she's trying to sell it.
Love.
I think the saturated fat content of this bedding right now it's more than a conundrum of cheese.
If we could go back to the film, so Tris gets put as a divergent, so she fits into all the categories. So it's up to her to kind of make a decision. I couldn't work out if this was good or bad. It was sort of unclear in the film as to whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, they try to keep it hush hush, don't they?
They do, but
she's like, for banter, don't tell your
parents. There seems to be no, but the way this girl was dealing with it didn't seem like she was going to be a pariah. It felt like she was at risk of stuff more than social discrimination.
Didn't you say the sequels as well?
Insurgent is one of them, and
Overindulgent, Newsagent.
Slap my silly willy.
But also make sure you be a gent about it. So it seems okay, but I'm a bit confused about, they seem to be only targeting like intelligent 14 to 18-year-olds. That seems to be their market. And it's over 2 hours, this film, 2 hours, 20 minutes. I don't want to sit through that. A good part of filmmaking is having a very good editor that can whittle.
Say a 55-minute audio log down to 25.
Yeah, this is going to be longer than that, mate. This is going to be stint. What do you think's going to happen in the rest of the film?
I think that her being this kind of extraordinary citizen is going to lead her into sort of the murky underworld of this kind of perfect city. And I guess because of the name of the sequels, it's going to sort of uncover some sort of conspiracy that's going to lead to a rebellion, I guess, would be my sort of generalised prediction.
I don't disagree with any of that. All right, Dan, stars!
2.5.
Oh, I went for 3.
it's clearly the first of a trilogy, this series, and the setup I thought was quite good in that first 15 minutes. Something which was really lacking in Inferno. So just sort of comparing the two, I suppose. I know one's at the start and one's at the end of a series, but I still think there should be a sense of place and setting. Well, like any story, you've got to set it right, and I don't think the other one did, and I think this one did quite well. So
really, your
2.5
whole
stars.
argument falls down from the fact that one's at the start and one's at the end.
Really, yeah. But you're going to keep that in and look like a twat?
You got them right, yeah. Actually, Dan, before we go to the final film, we have a quiz!
No, let's go to the final film. No, let's not.
No quiz this week. So, the quiz...
The listeners will see how petty we are when you humiliate me on edited radio.
I won't do that. I might do, actually. Okay, Dan, so the quiz this week.
Definitely will do.
So this week, it's first three, last three. I've got three actors. I'm going to give you their first three films in their filmography and their most recent three with the dates. Here's the first one for you. I almost just said the actor's name straight off the bat. So close to saying that. Okay, so their first three films, 2007, Superbad, 2008, The Rocker, 2008, House Bunny. Their most recent three films, 2017, Battle of the Sexes, 2018, The Favourite, 2019, Zombieland Double Tap. Now notice when those films are.
I think it's it's the other one. It's not the fat one. It's not Jonah Hill. It's the guy from Social Network.
It's not Jesse Eisenberg. Not a bad guess though. No, Dan, remember The Favourite. Do you remember The Favourite?
Yeah.
She was in this.
Oh, is it Emma Stone?
It's Emma Stone. Well done. Second time asking, so no points.
I didn't know Emma Stone was in Superbad.
Next one. First film.
Yeah.
2001, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. 2002, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah.
2002, Thunderpants. Okay, 2013, The Unbeatables. 2014, Postman Pat the Movie. 2015, Moonwalkers. Notice they've not done a film for 5 years.
That could be any of the actors. Not sure here, boy.
You're listening to First Free, Last Free, the format for which is still available to broadcasters, so don't hesitate to call. Contestant is Dan this week. Real brain teaser he's got here. I think Dan's still on the line. Danny, you still there?
I'm still here.
Danny's
You're not going to rush me, are you? It's not going to be like Popmaster. Is it Robbie Coltrane? But I don't think that's right.
Rupert Grint.
Is it? Oh.
Rupert Grint has the worst CV. Like, honestly, I reckon he meets his accountant once a week to see if he's still got that Harry Potter money around. Oh God, he's just appalling. I genuinely think I watched back the Harry Potter films recently. I think he's really bad in them. I genuinely don't think he's a good actor.
Yeah, he is. No, he's not.
Right, Dan, you're 0 for 2. Final one. Come on, you can pull this round. Here we go, Dan. 1967, The White Bus. 1968, The Lion in Winter. 1969, Hamlet. 2017, The Last Night. 2017, Thor Ragnarok. 2019, The Two Popes.
So it must be Anthony Hopkins or
Can
Sir
I
Anthony Hopkins.
have the answer in his voice, please?
I'm Sir Anthony Hopkins. It's got to be Tom Jones, but I played Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. I deliver with a nice Chianti and some fava beans.
That's for Anthony Hopkins.
Very good. Well, I did give you a bit of Tom Jones, didn't I?
That was good. Right, final film we watched this week was in the wild card category, Dirty Grandpa.
As his wedding approaches, a stuffy lawyer endures a road trip with his newly widowed grandfather, who turns out to be a man of surprising appetites.
So, because this film came out 4 years ago, I'd heard a lot of horrendous reviews about it. Now, I think it started fine. I mean, it wasn't good.
It's all right.
It was all right, though, wasn't it? Begins
I
with
can't tell, though, whether the opening titles were deliberately bad or accidentally bad.
Oh, yeah, the Photoshop is appalling. Because it's a comedy, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It starts with a pretty good cameo from Adam Pally, who plays Zac Efron's either brother or cousin.
Cousin? Is that Nick?
Yeah, so the guy that shows up baked to his grandma's funeral starts thinking cancer's a conspiracy by saying she had cancer for 10 years. It sounds a little bit too convenient for my liking. And then
yeah, he did have some good lines.
He seems to take the mick out of Zac Efron for being too grown up, but then goes on to describe listening to NPR in my Volvo and playing Scattergories over a bottle of wine. I think us two have played Scattergories over a bottle of wine before, haven't we?
Basically, I think it was Scrabble over a bottle of champagne, but there you go.
It's not every day that you manage to fit trifecta on the board.
That's true.
So basically, the film is a bit weird. Zac Efron's this stuffy guy. I have this feeling on Zac Efron. I used to think of him as a genuinely good actor that just picks horrendous films. But then I've seen a few interviews of him, and he comes across as a massive knobhead.
Yeah, he really does. He's fantastic in Hairspray.
Yeah, he's very good in Hairspray. He could do with some humility. I don't know if it's because we're just guys, and I think guys are instinctively hate other guys that are very handsome.
Yeah. I think he just needs a film or a series where it's kind of real, like gritty, that he could get his teeth stuck into to either prove it one way or the other. Do you know what I mean? He needs to come down.
Yeah, well, in this, he basically pretty much plays this straight guy to De Niro's sort of wackiness as like the unkempt grandpa. And there's a bizarre scene in the film where he comes to pick him up for the trip itself, and he walks in on Robert De Niro's character masturbating quite vigorously to some horrendous porn. then the grandpa comes out and basically makes a joke that lets the audience know that he knew Zac Efron was about to walk into the house. So that's the most bizarre danger wank I've ever heard of a grandpa doing it on a grandson.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. I think if we were to analyse it a little bit, all the jokes are a shock joke.
Yeah, pretty much.
And another thing that really annoyed me is it's very lazy, this film. All the characters are basically tropes. You know, girlfriend who's choosing out her wedding, her dream wedding at the funeral whilst, the eulogy is being spoken. You have, Zac Efron's ex lab partner who's stunningly good looking, and Zac Efron who's stunningly good looking, and they just, don't really like each other. And do you know what I mean? It's just all kind of tropey, kind of lazy rom-com almost, that they're sort of slapping shock humour onto. That's what it feels like. The
quote of the film, though, the first 15 minutes anyway, was, I'd rather have Queen Latifah shit in my mouth from a hot air balloon. That's not bad. I don't know why he's picked Queen Latifah there as the shit that you'd not want to have. If you had to pick a celebrity not to shit in your mouth, I think you've got to go with Brian Blessed, right? That's what I'd go.
It would definitely be quite white, I would imagine.
Apparently, when he climbed Everest, he got to the top and he shot himself.
Did he?
Apparently so.
I'm on Everest and I've shit myself.
I feel like I've stupidly encouraged you to do impressions on this show, and I think we're going to have to put a veto on them now for a little bit.
Why?
Well, we've already had Kenneth Williams, Anthony Hopkins and Brian Blessed. I mean, there's a certain demographic. British people over the age of 60 is only really what you can do, Dan.
I think you've been very generous to give me those three impressions.
Spat that out.
I think you've been very...
Should we make a prediction for where this film's going to go? He's going to cheat on his fiancée, definitely.
With the ginger one who was in the cafe.
Oh, no, I think he might cheat on with Aubrey Plaza.
Black gay guy.
Aubrey... Why is black got to do with anything?
Touche.
I didn't notice a wig.
Right.
It's such crap dad jokes. That's all we are. The only leg we can stand on is absolutely crap. We're always common denominator dad jokes. So obviously Robert De Niro's going to make a few more crass jokes. They're going to grow the bond together. and he's going to cheat on her, and then they're going to be close together. And he's also going to stop being a lawyer, and he's going to be a photographer. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
How many stars are you in Dirty Grandpa?
I gave it 2 stars.
Oh, really? I think that's a bit harsh. I think I'll give it 2.5. Have I give every film a higher mark than you this week? That's rare for us.
Yeah, no, it is rare.
So, Dan, what film before next week are you going to watch? Which one are you going to take? Then I'll take another one.
Well, I would... Which would you prefer, Dirty Grandpa or Divergent?
I want Dirty Grandpa, actually.
There you go, then you have it. I'll watch Divergent.
Perfect. So we'll report back next week.
Might watch Dirty Grandpa as well.
Right, can you think of a way to wrap this up?
No. A little story.
Go on then. I want you to stop you.
Yeah, do you hear about the tap dancer?
Go on. What about him?
Get falling in the sink.
Not bad.
No, in other news, Pinky and the Brain are coming back, so that's good.
How about we let you end the show this week with giving us your edition of the opening titles of Pinky and the Brain, Dan. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week with 3 new films. And don't forget, if you've got any correspondence, send it over to me. Find me on Twitter. It's Luke Hoddy. That's it for me. So see you later. Dan, I'm going to let you take it away.
Cheers, Luke. Thanks very much. Gee, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain. Yes, Pinky and the Brain. The Pinky and the Brain. Brain.